Class, welcome back to the second part of the lecture. So on the previous part, we were talking about humans' impact on the environment with the increase of human population. There is also a risk in damaging the habitat because human increasing of human population means that we need more space to live in, more food, more water, more resources from the earth. And when we need all these things, we tend to clear up natural habitats, and will damage the food chains. And also, one of the things that is of concern is the increase of pollutions. So again, pollutants are substances that causes harm to organisms. All right. So what kind of thing that would cause pollutions, right? Or in other words, what are the pollutants that would cause harms? So first of all is the use of air conditioners, fridges, and spray cans will release a substance called chlorofluorocarbon, or sometimes we call it CFC. That will cause ozone depletion. Right, so I have actually enclosed a YouTube link uh, for you to look at it at how CFCs will actually cause ozone depletion and what is the impact of ozone depletion. Right, so class, I want you to go through your material post, and then I will actually attach the link in the material post. So please click on it. So after you have clicked on it, you would find something else like uh, you will get something else like climate 101, ozone depletion. All right. So that will tell you that you're at the right links. Okay. So please watch the video. And next. So another kind of pollution is called air pollutions. So how does air pollution comes about? So combustions of fossil fuels, or sometimes we call it burning of fossil fuels, and other fuels will actually release greenhouse gases such as carbon dioxide. So when a greenhouse gas is being released, this contributes to something we call the greenhouse effect, and it will lead to global warming. All right. So greenhouse. So this is the keyword. Greenhouse effect refers to gases in the atmospheres that trap heat energy and causes the Earth to warm up. So scientists think that increasing amount of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere will actually makes uh, the Earth warmer. So sometimes we call this global warming, which changes the temperature or changes the climate around the world. So examples of some fossil fuels are like oil, coal, and natural gas. And examples of some greenhouse gases are carbon dioxide, methane gas, nitrous oxide, water vapor, etc. So again, class, please click on the YouTube link to watch the effect of to watch the greenhouse effect. So how does a greenhouse effect works? So I'm just going to give a really brief example here. Right, if you look at this diagram here, so this is the sun. The sun will actually uh, emit heat energy. All right. So the sun's heat will actually reaches the earth. Right. So when it reaches the earth, the earth does not absorb all the heat energy, right? Some of this heat energy is actually reflected back to outer space. So if you notice the picture here, so the arrow here, right? So the sun energy, the earth will actually reflect some of the heat off its surface. But when we have greenhouse gases in the atmosphere, right? If you look at this diagram here, CO2 and other gases in the atmosphere will actually trap the heat. So the heat will actually trap in the atmosphere, bouncing up and down. And then this will actually makes the earth warmer. And that's why the temperature in this era, if you were to compare it 30 years ago, the temperature is actually much hotter when you compare it 30 years ago, right? The major contribution to it is the greenhouse gases, right? So again, class, please click on the link to watch the video about greenhouse effect. And also, when we burn diesel, it will actually releases a small smoke particles that causes the formation of smoke. So what is smoke? So smoke is actually some sort of a unpleasant chemical fog. So the smoke will actually cause breathing difficulties and it will actually damage the lungs. All right, and in another fossil fuel, which is the coal, which is coal. So when we burn coal, it will actually release sulfur dioxide, sometimes we call it CO2. This gas will actually dissolve in clouds to form an acid, which leads to acid rain. Right, so we know to know about how acid rain comes about. So again, please click on the YouTube link to watch on the formation of acid rain. And we know acid rain are harmful. They will actually kill the trees in a forest, right? So when trees are killed, animals will actually lose their habitat. So that will actually affect the entire ecosystem. Right, next, we're going to look at some renewable energy resources. So what are renewable energy resources and non-renewable energy resources? So renewable energy resources refers to a source of energy that will not run out. And whereas non-renewable energy resources refer to source of energy that will not last forever. So example of a non-renewable energy would be fossil fuels, because fossil fuels will not last forever. We are actually using them up much faster than they can form. So and over time you actually run out. So that's the reason that nowadays we tend to see hybrid technologies, hybrid cars. The main reason is to actually reduce the dependency on fossil fuels, and also at the same time by reducing the use of fossil fuels, we could actually reduce the amount of air pollution. Right, so governments around the world have also agreed to actually burn less fossil fuels. So people are actually looking at alternative ways of making electricity and running vehicles. So whereas when it comes to renewable energy, because we know that non-renewable energy will eventually run out, and this causes scientists to look for alternatives. So that's where renewable energy comes about. So for example, examples of renewable energy, we have solar energy, hydropower energy, geothermal energy, wind energy, biomass energy. So if you were to look at uh, your textbook does give a few examples on wind, waves, tides, solar power, and hydroelectric power. So this kind of renewable energy is actually good. They do not release harmful gases into the air, and they will cause less air pollution. So in this table, right, I want you to copy down this table as well. This table actually sums out the comparison between renewable energy and non-renewable energy. So renewable energy uh, means that they are energy that can be replaced by natural process in a short amount of time. Whereas non-renewable energy resources, these are actually natural resources that either cannot be replaced or may take millions of years, or sometimes we say it may take a very long years to replenish by natural process. So renewable energy, they can be reused or recycled and used multiple times. Whereas non-renewable energy resource, they cannot be reused or recycled. And renewable energy resource, they cause no harm to the environment. I wouldn't say that no harm, it will cause much less harm. Whereas non-renewable energy resource, they will actually cause a huge harm to the environment because of the harmful emissions. So harmful emissions, it means that harmful substances being released. So examples of renewable energy resource are wind, waves types, solar power, hydroelectricity. Examples of non-renewable energy resources, we have petrol, coal, natural gas, and fossil fuels. So, but of course, when we talk about renewable energy resources, it's not that they have all the good stuff there. Of course, renewable energy resources, uh, they have some disadvantages as well. And uh, when it's compared to non-renewable energy resource, it actually causes less harm, right? Okay, we're going to talk about wind, for example. Uh, when we talk about wind energy, the advantages is of course it does not release harmful gases into the air, and it will not cause air pollution. But of course, the disadvantages in using wind energy is it needs to be built in area where there are strong winds. So in order to generate energy, you actually need wind. So when you have more wind or when you have a stronger wind in that area, you actually generate more wind. You actually generate more electricity. But on days where we do not have wind at all, it would not be able to turn the wind turbines, and no so no energy or no electricity is being generated. So wind energy, in other words, is pretty much depending on the whether do you have wind in that area. But also another disadvantages of wind energy is they may also be dangerous for birds that are migrating in the area. They may actually damage habitats, and some people think that having wind turbines around the area, it uh, un- is a bit not pleasing to the, or is actually an eyesore. So that's people's personal preference. How about solar energy? All right, solar energy, its advantages is uh, it does not cause harm to the environment. All right, it does not release harmful emissions. But the disadvantages of using solar energy is pretty much depending whether you have sun or or times when it's on a cloudy day, for example, a cloudy day, uh, it will actually block the amount of sun, block the sun, and the solar cells or the solar panels will not be able to collect the solar energy or collect the sunlight from the sun. Or on rainy days where the sunlight is not so strong. So on these days, it's pretty much difficult to actually generate electricity. Or during the night. So during the night time in countries or not countries, sorry, in seasons where the night is actually longer than the day. So for example, during winter season. So in the winter season, the length of the night would actually be longer than the length of the day. So this would actually cause a hindrance in collecting sunlight and generating electricity. And how about hydroelectricity? Hydroelectricity. So when we actually build out a dam, you will actually need to clear off a space for you to collect water. So when you actually clear off a space, the first things that you tend to clear are the forests. So when you clear off a forest, you would actually destroy the habitat of some animals and plants. So they will lose their home, they will lose uh, their shelter, and of course, with animals being driven out from their homes, it means that there could be shortage of food for some animals. Right? So not all renewable energies have its advantages. Not all of them are good. They have some disadvantages. But when you compare with non-renewable energy resource, it's actually much better, and it causes less harm to the environment, and it causes less air pollution. But of course, as humans, we are responsible humans. It is all up to us as individuals to care for the habitats around us. So, class, that's it for today's lecture on chapter 3.3. So let us become responsible humans in helping to preserve the animals and the plants' habitats. Right, that's it. Thank you.